Welcome back to my curry workshop. Today I'm going to be cooking for you one of Priya Jethwa's delights of the night spice blends. So I'm going to be cooking for you a chicken Bhuna. Priya's spice blend has been blended in partnership with Derbydave. Links to Derbydav's online store are below. Right then, let's have a look at the ingredients for Priya Jethwa's chicken Bhuna. I'll now go through the list of ingredients for the 2-serving recipe. However, if you want to make a meal for 4 people, the ingredients are just doubled and the list is at the start of this tutorial. So first of all, we'll be using 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Use ghee if you prefer. I'll be adding in 1 tablespoon of garlic and 1 tablespoon of ginger, using 300 grams, so that's approximately 2 medium red onions in this case, really finely diced to help the onions break down into the gravy. We're using a little bit of salt to help the cookery process. Then at which point, we should have a little sniff. Wow, we'll be adding in 5 teaspoons of Priya's beautiful Bhuna blend. 4 large fresh ripe tomatoes. I'm going to blend these in a second into a puree. So today I'm using thighs and drumsticks. You can use breast, you could use a mixture. 4 thighs, 2 each, and 6 drummers, 3 each. If not, I'll be using 2 medium-sized chicken breasts. With salt to taste, depending on how sweet you like your curries, I'll be adding in 2 teaspoons of runny honey and 2 tablespoons of chopped coriander. I'll mix that in, and then we will finish the dish off. We'll plate up and drizzle with a little bit of yogurt or cream to make it look nice, garnish with some fresh coriander. Just a few words about the differences in the method. So if you're making for 2, we'll just be using this pan, that's it. If you're making for 4 people, I'm actually going to split the initial cookery process into 2 pans just so the onion can cook through nicely. And we'll go all the way through. At this point, we'll ladle across the ingredients into my stock pot and we'll finish a dish in there. Okay, let's cook a chicken Bhuna for 2. Into the pan, we'll add 4 tablespoons of oil. Let that come through to temperature, looking for medium heat. Whilst the oil comes through to temperature, I'm just going to prepare my garlic and ginger. So the easiest way to peel ginger is with a spoon. If you use a knife, you end up losing too much. And I'm just going to roughly chop some ginger. Break it down a little bit, because it's quite fibrous. Similar thing with the garlic. Grab a number of cloves. Squash them down. Back of your knife, carefully, and dice away. Add it to my pestle and mortar. And a half, so I know I've got enough when it's minced. 1 and a half. I'll use the rest later. Then I'm just going to crush the garlic and ginger together. Lovely aroma's been produced. There we go, it's taken me about 30 seconds. It's quite coarse. Stir around. Boils through to temperature now, so I'm going to go in with 2 tablespoons in total of crushed garlic and ginger. We'll now saute the garlic and ginger for about 2 minutes to infuse the oil. A little stir, smelling lovely. So the garlic's just starting to brown off now. So at this point I'm going to go in with the onions. I finely dice them, which will help to break down the onions into the gravy. Stir them in. I'm going to cook these for around probably 15 to 20 minutes. I want them at least golden brown. And why do we do that? Well, to release the flavours, of course, caramelise the onions, but also the browning of the onions helps to colour the final dish. So I'm wanting this dish to be brown towards the end, might be reddish brown with the colour of the tomatoes. So in they go. We'll stir occasionally and we'll come back in about 15 minutes to see how they're getting on. And don't forget to add your salt, which helps to extract moisture from the onions. The onions have been cooking for around 15 minutes now, starting to go golden around the edges. My onions have been cooking for around 20 minutes now, starting to go nice and golden brown. I'm going to push them a little bit further, see if we can get them to dark brown. But what I don't want to do, I don't want to burn the onions. So keep stirring them, keep an eye on them. The moment you feel it's going to burn, then stop. I get a lot of cookery advice from Priya, as you'd expect, as Priya's a cookery expert. And she says never rush any part of the sauteing process, especially the onions. They've been cooking now for 25 minutes and I'm happy with the colour. Let's stir around. Which is the camera. Yeah, that looks great. And for the next part of the process, so we're going to turn the heat down. because we're going to put the spices in and we don't want the spices to burn, so just give that a minute or two to cool. Whilst it's cooling down, let's have a look at the spice blend. So this is Priya's Bhuna blend, off with the lid. Wow, I can smell it from here. If you had smelly vision, you would love that. I'm just going to have a little sniff myself. Wow, I'd love to know what goes in there. Dave, Priya, what a fantastic blend. So let's go in with 5 teaspoons of the Bhuna blend. 4, 5. Stir that in. Instantly the aromas are coming out of the dish. That is nice. I'm going to leave that to cook through for about a minute and a half, because we're on a lower temperature, because what you don't want to do is burn the spices. Your dish will become bitter, a little bit gritty. About another 30 seconds, and I'll show you a little tip for looking after your spices. So if you're ever in doubt, once your spices have gone in, add a little bit of water. Stir it in. That'll actually help all the flavours to infuse as well. It just helps to prevent the spices from burning. It does look amazing, that. Lovely, very nice. So at this point, we're going to go in with the blended tomatoes. That's 4 tomatoes there. Put the temperature back up to high. Stir it in. Just pop the lid on. Once the gravy's reached a boil, we'll then simmer for a few minutes. Let's have a look. Oh, that's bubbling nicely. Time to go in with the chicken. So I'm using chicken thighs and drumsticks today. So place each one in, skin on. Stir in the chicken to ensure it's coated. Nicely covered. The thigh and drum are the most flavoursome part of the chicken, and especially when it's cooked on the bone. So I'm going to go on with the lid on high heat for 5 minutes, at which point we'll then turn down to a simmer and cook the chicken for about 20 to 25 minutes or until it's cooked. Let's have a look at the gravy. It's been boiling for about 5 minutes now. You can see the chicken starting to turn white. Now, at this point, the chicken's still quite firm. Tip for later in the cookery process to help keep the chicken on the bone is to not overly stir the dish. So we'll be using a combination of carefully shaking the pan, and if needed, just carefully moving the chicken around with the back of my spatula. I'm going to turn the temperature down, pop on the lid, give that 20 minutes just to simmer away. If at 20 minutes it looks like there's still too much moisture in the gravy, for my liking, I'll take off the lid and allow it to evaporate down to the required consistency. 10 minutes into the 25-minute cookery process, I'll just have a quick look. Simmering very nicely, very hot. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm just going to give the pan a little shake to help keep the meat on the bones. It's starting to cook nicely. What I'm going to do, let's see if we can carefully turn them over. I'll just use a teaspoon to ensure everything's evenly coated. I'll see you again in 10 minutes. Okay, so we're just going up to 20 minutes. I'm going to take off the lid. It's bubbling away nicely. So what I actually want it to do now is to evaporate out some of the moisture. So I'm going to leave the lid off for the remainder of the cookery process. Okay, so give the pan a little shake. And we'll leave it to simmer away. The gravy is reducing down nicely now, so it's starting to thicken up. We could have a taste, a clean spoon. That looks lovely. Oh wow, that is really good. I'm not going to put any more salt in there, it's enough salt from earlier. Final ingredients are chopped coriander, and for sweetness, 2 tablespoons of honey. Call that 1. Call that 2. Add more if you have a sweet tooth. I'm going to carefully mix in the coriander and the honey, so I don't want to knock the meat off the bone. There's my little tongs. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to test one drummer to see if the meat falls away from the bone, which is a key indication that the chicken's cooked. Let's pick one. Let's go for this one. Peel back the flesh, nice and white. Lovely, lovely white flesh. Yeah, nicely cooked. Now, if you're a little bit nervous about chicken cookery, which sometimes I am, continue to cook the chicken in the gravy. Add a little water if needed as the gravy dries out. All that will happen is that the meat will just fall away from the bone. So I'm actually really happy with that. So much so, I'm going to have a taste. Wow, melt in your mouth. Time to serve. So what I'm going to carefully take out the chicken, starting with the chicken thighs. We can just see the meat coming away from the bone. If you want to, you can remove the skin at this point. I'm going to leave it on for colour, allow my guests to remove that later. I'll get in with the drummers. Last but not least, I'll get that. Wow. Beautiful. Let's spoon the sauce over the chicken. Add on the remaining sauce. If at any time before serving you think the sauce is a little too thick, just add a little bit of warm water and mix it in. That's what I've just done. A shake. That's looking lovely. Okay, time to finish this off. So I'm going to garnish with chopped coriander. Sprinkle it around. I'm going to finish with a drizzle of raita. That looks lovely. What a beautiful dish. Been a pleasure cooking it. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Dave, for sharing with us your lovely recipe and spice blends. So hopefully you've enjoyed my video today. Please like and subscribe to help grow my channel, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.